Welcome to the DePIN State. I'm Nick Hawks. My guest today is Firdosh from Drive. The DePIN State is sponsored by 𝐒𝐮𝐻. Super psyched to have them on. If you're pushing the limits of what's possible on chain, you should build your own rollup with 𝐒𝐮𝐻. We'll have a little bit more on them later in the show. Before we get started, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. This alerts you to when the next episode drops and helps us keep bringing great guests like Firdosh on to you. Firdosh, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you for calling me again.
Yeah, I'm super excited. Well, let's see. The last time we talked, I think, was May 5th. Today is now July 5th. So we've had a couple months to see what's going on. You've had a couple pieces of big news come out. Do you want to talk through those?
Yeah, I guess in last 2 months, we worked on a lot of things. I guess the most important milestone that we had was franchisee staking, where we allow DRF holders to go ahead and stake their DRF, and then we start sharing the revenue that we generate from the local operation with the community. And that's something that we were doing for the first time, and there was nothing to look back and say, like, how to do that. We were ourselves very afraid, like, will people participate because we're way too early in terms of, also generating revenue. But we saw like a real good turnaround by the community. It was a 150 million DRF that were supposed to get staked, and everybody told me like, okay, this is too much of DRF that you're asking people to stake. But yeah, we got full. We did a priority staking for 75 million for the council NFT members that we have. It got filled in few hours. 75 million got filled, and then we had another 75 million where a lot of DRF holders actually participated. For us, it was a big achievement, a milestone achieved where community actually came ahead and staked their DRF. And this is not normal staking. This is a staking for 3 years. So your DRF is going to get locked for 3 years, and you cannot withdraw DRF. You'll only get rewards that can be withdrawn. So I guess our community also showed their faith and went ahead and staked their DRF for 3 years. So which also shows the kind of belief that they have in us, and like willing to stake your DRF for 3 years. So that's I guess something very important that we achieved and was very important for us.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, with staking, let's see. So if you're watching this and you missed the first interview with Firdosh, you can hit the link up here, or we'll have it down in the description. So you can go back and check that out. I know we talked about a bunch of stuff there and kind of introduced the project. If we think about staking, let's sure we make sure we understand the mechanism here, is that what you guys are doing with this ride sharing piece is allowing people to stake for a location.
Yes.
And run the franchise on a location. So there's actually a useful mechanism or a useful thing that staking can do.
Correct. It's basically, every time we look at different staking that happens where the rewards are coming from the ecosystem pool and different pool, and there's not real money getting generated, or with us it's the real revenue that's get generated, which has been used to buy DRF from the market, and that's something that is getting distributed to people who have contributed to that staking pool. But it doesn't get stopped there itself. This everybody who has staked into this pool, the steps 2 of this is become part of this city DAO, where they can participate in different decision making and become a part of this whole city operation, get access to the data of live rides that's happening in the city. So it's much more than just putting your DRF and forgetting about that.
Yeah. That's always the hope, is that they don't forget about it, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. One of the big questions that I got last time from a lot of people was, when is this going to be outside India? When can I be a part of that? And of course, staking helps answer that question. But can you walk me through what it looks like over the next, say, 12 months for you guys?
Yeah, so I did spoke about this also last time I was here, that we are working on few cities in India at this point, but there are 2 cities internationally that we are also working on. One for which the license is already applied for. We are at the final stages, and as soon as the license is out there, we're going to talk about the name of the city. But another city, and these are 2 international cities, which also plays a very important one, which is very crypto friendly, and where we want to test a lot with the crypto aspect of who we are. And another which is very important from just the geolocation perspective of we being in that country. So those are the 2 cities we are working to get there, but because at the end you need to understand it's a real ride hailing business, it takes its own time to go from one city to another. But I guess these 2 cities this year, one of them will go live, which will play an important role for how faster than we go to new cities in, next 1 year.
Got it. Got it. Okay, cool. So I know people are excited about that. I know the folks on the Gristle crew were certainly like, "Oh my God, let me get this in, St. Louis and San Diego and the rest of it." So we'll get there a step at a time, which is super cool. The other thing that I saw, it looks like you guys started working with IoTeX since the last time we talked. I know that we had made that introduction, but I hadn't followed up
Yes.
with where it went. Can you tell me what you're doing with them? I've seen you done
So
a couple things.
correct, correct. So yes, IoTeX was something that obviously came through you guys, and there were other few folks also who were telling me about look into this thing because and when I get in touch with them, I realize okay, there are folks that are actually. I guess I also spoke with you that for the first time I'm listening to people who are saying okay, we need to build real world use cases and. The whole Web3 stream that they're building is to actually onboard Web2 startups into Web3 and how we're able to let go of all that kind of efforts that we have to put in ourselves, months of efforts that they have done already, and we just have to do a little bit of plug and play with that. So the first thing that we're working with them is on geolocation. Data tracking for drivers in a more decentralized fashion because the most important aspect of Drive is location. Only when I know which location driver is, will be able to send them ride requests. So it has to do a lot with geolocation. And at this point, everything goes through a backend server. So we receive data on a backend server, then we fetch specific data points and send it to the smart contract to do fare calculation. Very basic. Now, those are the things that we are testing with them to see how the geolocation tracking can be done more on a decentralized fashion, and we can have this whole decentralized geolocation data of drivers. So that's the first thing that we are working with them. We're very excited about this, and yeah.
Love it. Well, yeah, it's super, super cool to see. We'll get back to the conversation in a minute. One of the super cool parts of doing the show is we get to talk to tons of projects just like yours, including the back-end nerdy stuff like we just talked about that helps deepen projects. One of those is today's show sponsor, 𝐒𝐮𝐻. 𝐒𝐮𝐻 Builders is a customizable roll-up provider providing app-specific chains for several deepen projects. They allow you to pick your virtual machine, your base layer, and additional customizations to enable new functionality for your D app. 𝐒𝐮𝐻 is committed to helping projects build on deepen. Check them out at 𝐒𝐮𝐻.builders and click the card above for a link to an interview we did with them if you haven't seen it. Now, I've seen that I think 𝐒𝐮𝐻 had you guys on to talk a little bit. Is that right, Firdosh?
Yes, I guess I was not able to go there because it was like I got confused between time zone. I was traveling
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
and
yeah,
it
yeah.
was like a 1 a.m. It was a 1 a.m. for me, so I had to like skip that one, but maybe next time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've seen it. Look, it's super cool on Twitter just to see the space developing, especially the deepen space and what
Yes,
𝐒𝐮𝐻 is doing
correct.
with it. So yeah, excited to hear kind of how that thing goes down. Cool. Well, what else is new? What are we looking at in the short term in the next month or two that you're really excited about?
I guess the next thing that we're working on is the DRF. So there are two important utilities of DRF. One was the franchisee staking, and another was integrating it inside the application. So where you start earning DRF for different activities in the platform. The most important activity starts with the referral. So every time you refer someone and they take a ride, till now you get your Drive wallet money. So basically, you earn money from the ride because if you take a $10 ride, you get I'll get 1% of your ride fare that you're paying, and it's like a passive source of income. So that's something we're converting into DRF rewards, where you start earning DRF for the bigger the network of referral that you have, you start earning more DRF from their ride. So that's very important for us in terms of who we are to have this integration in place. So that's super cool. And again, a lot of things that needs to taken care of when you do token integration into the platform. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. There's one city, an international city that I'm working on for last 6 to 8 months, and hopefully that's something that we will get to know about very soon as the approval comes in. So yeah, those are the two things I'm really excited about.
Okay. Well, we'll have to have you back on when you have that news to announce, and we'll talk about
Sure.
where those two cities are. That'll be super exciting. But thanks ton for coming back on and giving us the updates on what's going on with Drive.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nick.